The night shift at Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Station was usually quiet. Tom Miller sat at his desk, sipping cold coffee and watching endless streams of data flow across his screens. After 15 years of watching the stars, he had grown used to the silence of space. But tonight was different. "Sir, you need to see this," Tom called out to his supervisor, Robert, who was doing his usual midnight rounds. The older man walked over, his footsteps echoing in the near-empty control room. On Tom's main screen, a pattern emerged from the background noise of space, systematic, repeating signals that couldn't be natural. They had found something, or more accurately, something had let itself be found. "How long has this been going on?" Robert asked, leaning closer to the screen. "First noticed it about an hour ago, but when I checked the archive data, these signals have been there for weeks. They're just getting stronger now." Tom pulled up several graphs showing the signal strength increasing over time. Within hours, the discovery spread to other monitoring stations around the world. Amateur astronomers with powerful telescopes began reporting unusual light patterns in distant star systems. The patterns were too regular, too precise to be natural phenomena. The United Earth Defense Council, normally just a ceremonial body that met twice a year, called an emergency session. Representatives from every nation gathered in the underground chamber beneath Geneva, their faces grave as they watched the presentation. "Ladies and gentlemen," General Adams began, his voice steady despite the weight of his words, "what you're about to see changes everything we know about our place in the universe." The lights dimmed, and a holographic display filled the center of the room. It showed a map of nearby star systems, with red dots marking the locations of destroyed worlds. The pattern was clear. Something was systematically working its way through inhabited planets. In the back of the room, James Wilson, a junior analyst who barely looked old enough to be there, noticed something everyone else had missed. He stood up, his voice shaking slightly. "Excuse me, sir," he said, addressing the general. "But has anyone noticed that Earth isn't just randomly skipped in this pattern? We're being deliberately avoided." The room fell silent. James walked to the holographic display and began pointing out the pattern. "Look here and here. The pattern of destruction follows a clear path, but it curves around our solar system. This isn't random. We're being saved for last." General Adams studied the pattern, his expression darkening. "Son, are you suggesting that whatever is doing this is aware of us?" "Not just aware, sir," James replied, his confidence growing. "They're studying us. These signals we're picking up, they're not meant for us to understand. They're observations, reports being sent back to somewhere else. We're not detecting their communications by accident. They've stopped trying to hide them." The council chamber erupted in heated discussions. Some argued for immediate military mobilization, others for attempting communication. But deep down, they all understood one truth: humanity was no longer alone, and their observers were not friendly. As the debate raged on, Earth's most powerful telescopes captured images that confirmed their worst fears. Distant worlds, once teeming with life, were now nothing but debris fields. The destruction was methodical, precise, and absolute. In orbit, the International Space Station's crew reported seeing something else: brief flashes of light at the edge of the solar system, like reflections off metal surfaces. Whatever was watching humanity was getting closer. General Adams ended the council session with words that would soon be repeated across every news channel on Earth. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are not dealing with a possibility of alien contact. We are dealing with a countdown to invasion. And based on the pattern we're seeing, we are their final target." As the council members filed out, James stayed behind, studying the holographic display. The pattern of destruction told a story, one of methodical expansion, of calculated violence, of a force that saw other civilizations not as potential allies, but as threats to be eliminated. But they had made one crucial mistake. By leaving Earth for last, they had given humanity something invaluable: time to prepare and a warning of what was to come. The question was, would it be enough? 3 days after the emergency council meeting, Earth's best code breakers gathered in a secret facility beneath the Rocky Mountains. They worked around the clock, trying to understand the alien communications that now filled the skies. Mary Parker, one of the lead cryptographers, hadn't slept in 2 days. Her eyes were red from staring at screens filled with strange patterns. But at 3:47 a.m., everything changed. "I've got something," she whispered, then louder, "I've got something." The room came alive. Other analysts crowded around her station as she explained her breakthrough. They're not trying to hide their messages anymore. In fact, they're using basic mathematical patterns that any advanced civilization would understand. It's like they want us to hear them. The first translated message made everyone's blood run cold. It was a conversation between two alien commanders. "The quarantine must be maintained. Species 7249. Designation humans. Shows unprecedented development rates." Agreed. Their technological progression from primitive tools to spaceflight occurred in less than 10,000 cycles. No other species has shown such aggressive innovation. Mary's team worked faster, decoding more messages. Each new translation revealed more about humanity's watchers and their fears. The aliens called themselves the Guardians, self-appointed protectors of galactic order. They had watched Earth for centuries, growing increasingly worried about humanity's rapid advancement. Other civilizations took millions of years to reach space. Humans had done it in mere thousands. General Adams arrived at the facility as they decoded the most important message yet. It was a direct order from the alien high command. Species 7249 must not be allowed to reach full technological maturity. Their capacity for warfare and their drive to expand make them too dangerous to join the galactic community. Begin final preparations. Earth will be cleansed in 18 cycles of their sun. 18 months, General Adams said quietly. They're giving us 18 months. But as news of the invasion deadline spread through the world's governments, something unexpected happened. Instead of panic, humanity showed its true colors. In London, the Prime Minister addressed Parliament. They think 18 months is enough to prepare our destruction. Let us show them how much humanity can accomplish when we have a deadline. In Beijing, factories converted to weapons production overnight. In Moscow, underground bunkers were expanded into vast civilian shelters. From Tokyo to New York, research labs worked nonstop on new defense technologies. The aliens' messages continued, and Earth kept listening. Each transmission revealed more about their weaknesses, their tactics, their fears. The Guardians had never encountered a species that could adapt so quickly, that could take an enemy's technology and improve it within a single generation. 1 month after the first translation, humanity decoded a message that changed everything. Two alien commanders discussed their biggest fear. The humans learn too fast. They take our abandoned technology and rebuild it in ways we never imagined. Every world we cleansed before them took centuries to decrypt our simplest tools. These humans, they do it in days. That is why they must not survive. Their potential for growth is too dangerous. They could surpass us within a generation. In the underground facility, Mary looked up from her screen with a slight smile. "They're scared of us," she said. "Not of what we are now, but of what we could become." General Adams nodded, understanding the implications. "Then let's give them something to really be afraid of." The next day, Earth's combined space agencies launched hundreds of small probes into deep space. Each carried the same simple message, broadcast on frequencies they knew the aliens could hear. "We know you're coming. We're ready. Turn back." The response was immediate. The alien communications erupted with activity. Long-range telescopes showed their invasion fleet changing course, abandoning their methodical destruction of other worlds. They were now heading straight for Earth. In the facility's main control room, General Adams watched the alien fleet's movement on the big screen. Behind him, analysts and scientists continued their work with renewed purpose. "They took the bait," he said quietly. "Now let's show them why they were right to be afraid." The countdown to invasion had begun. But this time, Earth wasn't just another target. This time, the hunters were about to become the hunted. The world changed faster than anyone thought possible. Old enemies became allies, and ancient rivalries disappeared in the face of extinction. The United Earth Defense Force was born in a ceremony that lasted less than an hour, as every nation on Earth signed away their military independence. In the new Global Command Center, built deep within Mount Everest, Commander David Brown watched as soldiers who once aimed weapons at each other now trained side by side. Russian pilots flew American jets, Chinese submarines carried British crews, and Iranian scientists worked alongside Israeli engineers. "It's amazing what the threat of extinction can do," his assistant Mark said, handing him the latest progress report. David nodded, studying the numbers. "How are the underground cities coming along?" "Ahead of schedule. The boring machines haven't stopped since we started. Australia's outback now has room for 50 million people underground. The Sahara facilities can hold even more." On screens around them, progress bars showed the status of humanity's greatest construction project. Underground cities were being built on every continent, connected by high-speed tunnels. Above ground, farms moved into massive greenhouses, protected from whatever weapons the aliens might use. But humanity's greatest achievement was happening in orbit. The moon, once a silent witness to Earth's history, was becoming a fortress. "Sir," a young technician called out, "Dr. Williams wants you in Lab 7. Says it's urgent." David found the doctor in her lab, surrounded by humming machines. Her team had been working on combining human innovation with the bits of alien technology they'd recovered from old crash sites. "We did it," she said without looking up. "We cracked their shield technology. But we didn't just copy it. We made it better." She pressed a button, and a shimmer appeared around a small metal ball. Their shields stopped physical objects. "Ours." She fired a laser at the ball. The beam didn't just stop. It reflected back, stronger than before. "Ours turned their energy weapons into our power source." News of the breakthrough spread quickly. Within days, every major factory on Earth switched to producing the new shield generators. They were installed on buildings, vehicles, and the growing fleet of space fighters humanity was building. But the greatest breakthrough came from an unexpected source. In a basement lab in India, a group of programmers achieved something that changed everything. True artificial intelligence. They called it Guardian, a name chosen to mock their enemies. Unlike the cold, calculating alien watchers, this Guardian was created to protect humanity. Within hours of its activation, it began improving itself, finding new ways to coordinate Earth's defenses. The irony, David said, watching Guardian's improvements spread through Earth's defense network, is that they forced us to achieve in months what might have taken us decades. In orbit, the International Space Station had grown into a sprawling complex of laboratories and factories. Solar panels stretched for miles, powering the construction of humanity's first true space fleet. On the moon's dark side, massive railguns were installed, capable of launching projectiles at speeds that would tear through any known alien shield. Mars colonies, once just scientific outposts, were transformed into forward bases, ready to attack the alien fleet from behind. "Sir," Mark called out, "you need to see this." A new message had been intercepted. The aliens had noticed Earth's preparation, but they had misunderstood what they were seeing. "The quarantine species builds defenses." The message read, "They waste resources on visible fortifications. This shows their primitive thinking. They do not understand the power they face." David smiled. The aliens were watching their obvious preparations: the moon base, the orbital stations, the surface-to-space weapons. They couldn't see what was happening underground, in secret labs and hidden facilities. "Let them think we're primitive," he said. "Let them think our defenses are basic and predictable. When they come, they'll learn what humanity can really do." In the depths of Mount Everest, Guardian calculated humanity's chances of survival. With each passing day, As new weapons were built and new strategies were developed, those chances grew higher. The aliens thought they had given Earth 18 months to despair. Instead, they had given humanity 18 months to prepare the greatest surprise in galactic history. The trap was almost ready. All they needed now was for their enemy to spring it. The launch countdown echoed through the global command center. Hundreds of small, sleek probes sat ready on launch pads across the world. Each one carried humanity's message to the stars. 10 seconds, the launch controller announced. Commander David Brown stood watching the main screen, his hands clasped behind his back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Launch. The night sky lit up as thousands of rockets streaked upward. From Kazakhstan to Cape Canaveral, from the Gobi Desert to the Amazon, humanity's message carriers rose into space. It was the largest coordinated launch in history. All probes reporting normal. Mark reported from his station. Beginning dispersal pattern Alpha. The probes spread out across space like seeds in the wind. Each one headed toward a different alien outpost or colony that Earth had discovered through intercepted communications. They carried no weapons, no advanced technology that could be studied. Just a message. In the communications room, Mary Parker watched the alien chatter explode as the first probes reached their targets. "They're receiving our message," she said, monitoring the translations. They're not happy about it. The message was simple, broadcast in mathematics that any advanced species could understand. "We know you're coming. We're ready. Turn back." At first, there was confusion in the alien communications. Then anger. Then fear. "The quarantine species dares to challenge us," one message read. "They must be made an example of." Another replied, "Agree. The timeline must be accelerated. Their defiance cannot be tolerated." Long-range sensors showed the alien fleet changing course. Ships that had been methodically destroying other worlds now turned as one, heading straight for Earth. They had abandoned their careful plan of isolating humanity. Now they were coming in force. In the global command center, David watched the alien fleet's movement with a slight smile. "They're responding exactly as we predicted," he said. "Guardian, what's your analysis?" The AI's calm voice filled the room. "The aliens have abandoned their strategic advantage of time. Their anger at our defiance has caused them to react emotionally rather than logically. They are now operating according to pride rather than tactical necessity." "Perfect," David said quietly. Below ground, in bunkers and secret bases around the world, humanity's real preparations continued. The visible defenses, the moon base, the orbital platforms, the surface-to-space weapons were impressive, but they weren't humanity's true strength. "Sir," a technician called out, "we're detecting increased communication between alien ships. They're coordinating their attack vectors." On the main screen, the alien fleet's formation appeared. Thousands of ships, arranged in attack patterns that had destroyed countless civilizations before. They moved with absolute confidence, certain of their superiority. They didn't know that Earth had been studying these very attack patterns for months, learning their weaknesses, preparing countermeasures they would never expect. "How long until they reach the outer defense perimeter?" David asked. "At their current speed, 3 days," Mark replied. David nodded and opened a channel to all Earth defense stations. "This is Commander Brown. The enemy has taken our bait. They're coming in hard and fast, exactly as we planned. Begin Operation Looking Glass." Around the world, hidden installations powered up. The real weapons, the ones the aliens couldn't see, came online. Quantum entanglement devices, reverse-engineered and improved from scattered alien tech, hummed to life. Gravity manipulation fields, hidden in asteroid belts, waited to turn space itself into a weapon. "Sir," Mary called out, "we're picking up new alien communications. They're warning each other about humanity's primitive defenses. They think our visible preparations are all we have." David smiled. "Good. Let them think that. Let them come in confident and angry. They thought they were being clever, giving us time to see our doom approaching. Instead, they gave us time to prepare their defeat. In orbit, Earth's seemingly simple defense platforms waited silently. On the moon, obvious weapons pointed at space, and hidden throughout the solar system, humanity's real preparations lay in wait, ready to spring a trap that would change the galaxy forever. The aliens were coming to deliver a lesson about power. They were about to learn one instead. "Send a final message to all Earth forces," David commanded. "Tell them, the enemy approaches. The trap is set. Remember your training. Remember what we fight for. Humanity stands ready." The countdown to humanity's greatest test had begun. 2 days before the alien fleet would reach Earth, the solar system transformed. Like a spider's web catching the morning light, thousands of hidden defense satellites suddenly became visible, forming a glittering network around Earth's orbit. In the Global Command Center, Commander David Brown watched as humanity's true defensive grid powered up. "Status report," he called out. "Quantum shield network at 100%, reported Mark. All orbital platforms showing green. Moon-based defenses fully operational." On massive screens, the defensive grid lit up section by section. What the aliens had seen before was just the surface. Now, humanity's real preparations were revealed. "Guardian," David called out, "begin final system checks." The AI's voice was calm and confident. "Beginning final diagnostics. Testing quantum-linked weapons. Successful. Neural interface networks. Online. Gravity manipulation fields. Calibrated. All systems performing at optimal levels." Deep under the Pacific Ocean, massive underwater bases activated their cloaking systems. In orbit, seemingly innocent communications satellites transformed, revealing hidden weapon systems that had been disguised as repair arms. "Sir," Mary called from her station, "we're picking up confusion in the alien fleet. They've detected our defense grid activation." A translation of alien communications appeared on the main screen. "The humans have hidden capabilities. These defenses were not visible before. Recommend reassessment of attack strategy." Another alien message followed. "Too late to alter course. Our forces are committed. Their defenses, while surprising, cannot match our technological superiority." David smiled. "They still think they know what we're capable of." Mark, status of the Mars Defense Force. "Ready and waiting, sir. The aliens still haven't detected our presence on the far side of Mars." Colonel Richards reports all units are in position. The Mars operation had been one of humanity's boldest moves. While the aliens watched Earth's obvious preparations, they had completely missed the massive military buildup on Mars. Hundreds of ships and weapons platforms lay hidden in the red planet's shadow, ready to catch the alien fleet in a devastating crossfire. "Begin civilian evacuation to the underground cities," David ordered. "Let's get our people safe before the show starts." Around the world, massive underground blast doors opened. Millions of people moved in an orderly fashion into the subterranean complexes humanity had built. These weren't just bunkers. They were fully functional cities with farms, factories, and all the necessities for long-term survival. In orbit, the International Space Station's innocent-looking solar panels suddenly rotated, revealing banks of quantum-linked weapons. The aliens had never seen anything like these before. Weapons that fired synchronized particles through quantum entanglement, bypassing traditional shields completely. "Alien fleet maintaining course," a sensor operator announced. "They'll reach Jupiter's orbit in 6 hours." That's when humanity would spring its first surprise. The gravity manipulation fields hidden in Jupiter's asteroid belt were ready to turn space itself into a weapon. Any ship passing through would find its own mass used against it. "Message from Dr. Williams in Lab 7, Mark said. "The last batch of shield upgrades is ready. Our defense platforms can now absorb enemy fire and redirect it back at twice the power." David nodded. "Deploy the upgrades and send word to all commands. No one fires unless fired upon. Let them throw the first punch." Earth's defense preparations had been built around a simple principle. Let the enemy think they know your capabilities, then surprise them with what you've kept hidden. The aliens were about to learn that humanity had not spent the last months building walls. They had built a trap. "Sir," Mary called out, excitement in her voice, "we're detecting increased power signatures from the alien fleet. They're charging weapons." "Let them come," David said quietly. "All stations, maintain position. Remember your training. Remember what we fight for." Around Earth, in space, and hidden throughout the solar system, humanity's defenders waited. Years of technological development, months of preparation, and humanity's unlimited capacity for innovation were about to be tested against an enemy that thought they knew what they were facing. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The alien fleet entered Jupiter's orbit with their weapons charged and shields at full power. They moved in perfect formation, thousands of ships strong, confident in their overwhelming force. They had destroyed hundreds of civilizations before. Earth would be no different. They were wrong. "They're entering the gravity field zone," Mark announced in the Global Command Center. "Impact in 3, 2, 1. The front line of alien ships suddenly lurched as space itself seemed to twist around them. Invisible forces grabbed their ships, using their own mass against them. Dozens of vessels crashed into each other before their pilots could react. "First blood to physics," Commander David Brown said quietly. "Guardian, status of the alien fleet. The enemy has lost 67 ships to gravitational effects," the AI reported. "They are adjusting their formation to compensate, calculating new approach vectors now." On the main screen, they watched as the alien fleet split into smaller groups, trying to minimize the effect of the gravity weapons. It was exactly what humanity had predicted they would do. "They're launching fighters," Mary called out. "Thousands of them. Energy readings are off the charts." The alien fighters streaked toward Earth's outer defenses, their weapons blazing. They expected their overwhelming numbers to quickly overwhelm humanity's visible defenses. Instead, their energy weapons hit Earth's new shields, and something impossible happened. The shields didn't just absorb the attacks. They grew stronger. "Shield energy at 120% and climbing," Mark reported with a grin. "They're actually powering our defenses with their attacks." Dr. Williams' breakthrough was working perfectly. Every shot the aliens fired made Earth's defenses stronger. Their most powerful weapons were becoming their greatest weakness. "Sir," Mary interrupted, "the alien commanders are sending urgent messages to their fleet." Translating now. The message appeared on screen. "Impossible. Their shields adapt. Cease energy weapon fire. Switch to physical projectiles." David smiled. "They're playing right into our hands. Signal the Mars Force. Tell Colonel Richards, the hunter becomes the hunted." As the alien fleet changed tactics, hundreds of hidden weapons platforms around Mars powered up. The aliens had been so focused on Earth that they never noticed humanity's forces gathering behind them. "Mars Force engaging," Mark announced. "Quantum-linked weapons firing." The aliens had never seen weapons like these before. The quantum-linked missiles ignored their shields completely, passing through them as if they weren't there. Ships that had destroyed countless worlds found themselves being torn apart by weapons they couldn't block. "Enemy fleet is in chaos," Guardian reported. "Their formation is breaking. Multiple ships attempting emergency jumps to faster than light speed." But Earth had prepared for this too. Hidden field generators activated, creating a bubble of distorted space around the solar system. No ship could jump to FTL speed within its effect. "They're trapped," David said. "Signal all Earth defense platforms. Weapons free. Show them what humanity can do." Earth's orbital defense grid came alive. Thousands of platforms fired in perfect synchronization, their attacks coordinated by Guardian's incredible processing power. The alien fleet found itself caught in a crossfire from all directions. "Sir," Mary called out, "we're picking up massive communications between enemy ships. They're trying to surrender." But before David could respond, the alien flagship launched a desperate attack. It fired its main weapon, a planet killer beam that had destroyed countless worlds before. The beam struck Earth's atmosphere and met humanity's final surprise. The quantum shields didn't just stop the attack. They reflected it back at twice the power. The alien flagship vanished in an explosion that lit up the solar system. The remaining enemy ships fell into confusion, their command structure shattered. "Enemy fleet is retreating," Guardian announced. 87% of their forces have been destroyed or disabled. The remainder are attempting to flee the solar system. David watched as humanity's first space battle came to an end. The aliens had come expecting to find a primitive civilization waiting to be harvested. Instead, they had found humanity waiting with a trap generations ahead of their understanding. "Send a message to all Earth forces," David ordered. "The day is ours. Humanity stands undefeated." The battle was over, but the future was just beginning. 3 days after the battle, Earth's long-range sensors detected a single alien ship approaching. Unlike the warships before it, this one was smaller, clearly designed for diplomacy rather than combat. It carried no weapons, and its shields were lowered. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies," Mary announced in the Global Command Center. "It's a request for peace talks." Commander David Brown stood before the United Earth Council, now gathered in the rebuilt United Nations building in New York. Representatives from every nation on Earth waited to hear his recommendation. "The alien diplomat requests permission to land," he said. "They wish to discuss terms." The council chamber remained silent for a moment. Humanity had won its first interstellar battle, but now came the harder part, winning the peace. "Let them land," the council president decided. "Show them that humans know mercy, even in victory." The alien ship was escorted to a landing pad outside New York by a squadron of Earth's new space fighters. News cameras broadcast the historic moment to billions of humans watching from their underground cities and orbital habitats. The alien diplomat emerged from the ship. It looked almost fragile compared to what humanity had imagined their enemies would be. Its translator device hummed as it addressed the council. "We have come to negotiate on behalf of the Galactic Alliance," it said. "Your species has surprised us." David stepped forward. "You mean we survived? You came to destroy us, and instead, we destroyed your fleet." The alien diplomat's skin changed color slightly. What humans would later learn was a sign of embarrassment. "We have existed for millions of your years," it said. "We have guided the development of countless species. Never have we encountered one that advanced so quickly, that adapted so efficiently." "You didn't guide us," David replied. "You hunted us. You destroyed other worlds while we watched. You thought giving us time to see our doom approach would break our spirit. Instead, it gave us time to prepare." The council president stood. "We will offer terms," she said, "and you will listen." On screens around the chamber, humanity's demands appeared. First, Earth would be recognized as a full and equal member of the Galactic Alliance, not as a primitive species to be guided, but as equals. Second, the practice of destroying developing civilizations would end immediately. Earth would send observers to ensure this. Third, the technology and knowledge of the Alliance would be shared freely. No more would advanced species hoard their discoveries. The alien diplomat's translator crackled as it responded. "These terms, they are unprecedented. No species has ever demanded such things upon joining the Alliance. No species has ever defeated your invasion fleet either," David pointed out. "Humanity does not ask for these terms. We demand them." To emphasize the point, Guardian activated a hologram showing Earth's defense grid. But now it revealed something new. Weapon platforms that hadn't been used in the battle, technologies that humanity had kept hidden even during the invasion. "We showed you a fraction of our capabilities," David said. "Would you like to see more?" The alien diplomat's color changed again. This time to what they would learn was fear. "Your terms are accepted. The Alliance recognizes Earth as an equal partner. As the diplomat transmitted the agreement to its superiors, celebrations erupted around the world. Humanity had not just survived, they had changed the galaxy forever. In the following months, Earth's underground cities emerged into the sunlight again. The defense grid remained active, a constant reminder of humanity's resolve. Ships from Earth began exploring the galaxy, not as servants of the Alliance, but as equals. In the Global Command Center, now preparing to become Earth's center for galactic diplomacy, David looked at the stars through the armored window. "They thought they were testing us," he said to Mary, who stood beside him. "They thought they were deciding if we deserved to survive. Instead, we tested them. We showed them why humanity should never be underestimated." Above them, Earth's quantum shields shimmed briefly in the sunlight, a testament to human innovation, a warning to any who might threaten Earth again, and a promise of humanity's bright future among the stars. They had not just survived. They had thrived, and the galaxy would never be the same.